Spend a weekend with me as I show you what we're up to this fall on our farm and homestead. I am very, very glad that the first frost has arrived. I actually filmed this the night before we got our first frost, so you saw me picking the last of the tomatoes there, and we'll get back to that. We'll do some cooking, chat about the garden, but first we're going to start out with a little farm update, take you along on a little ride here to another part of our farm where we are currently doing some logging and kind of talk to you about that. Just different things that need to be done on a farm, things that can be done on a farm, ways to use your resources when you have land. So as I have mentioned before, we live on about 185 acres here in the Midwest, but this is actually my in-laws' farm. So my husband's parents own this farm. We just live here. We live on a little 5-acre section of the farm. That's where our house sits. However, we do use other parts of the farm for my dairy cattle, for our chickens, and my husband and his dad and our kids, they all work together on this land. Okay, explain what we're doing today.
So these logs here, see how they got old tree limbs coming off of them?
Uh-huh.
So those we've got to cut into boards.
Okay.
These for fence.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep. So are we cutting them up here, or are we?
No, we are getting that guy with a bandsaw.
Okay.
He's going to rip them all down into basically they'll be like 1.5 inches thick by 6 inches thick.
So we're hauling them down to the farm.
Yep.
Today.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So
Gotcha.
There'll be some later I can show you that doesn't have any tree limbs coming off. Those we're going to sell for veneer to a cabinetry place.
Okay.
But yeah, they can't have any of those.
Yeah,
knots,
I see
tree
what you're
limbs,
saying.
whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
So these here are going to be made for boards.
Gotcha.
Cut.
That my mom? My 3 older kids have been working on something up here on this side of our farm in the woods. They have been clearing in the woods for a trail for our ATVs and for the tractors. And it's really amazing to me, what kids are capable of when you just kind of train them a little bit, give them some skills and a little bit of freedom, and just give them work to do. So I'll show you here in a minute. They're actually going to take me down to the trail that they've been working on, and this is truly amazing to me what they have been able to do by themselves. I don't feel like I would be able to do this by myself. It's actually really hard work. It's a lot of work, but yeah, I'm pretty impressed by my big kids. So here we're just watching the guys load these massive logs onto a trailer to haul down to our farm. And as you heard my husband say, some of them will be sawed down into boards for us to use for fencing and just use around the farm. And then some of them will be sold. So, that's one thing that you can do with your land is you can have a logging company come out and, cut down trees here and there. Of course, you probably don't want to get rid of all your good trees, but you can make a decent little profit by doing that, or you can do it yourself and then sell what you cut down, or use it on your land, which as you see here, we're going to do a little bit of both. It's funny to me reading some of the comments that I get on videos sometimes asking where my husband is. Why is he not around the house all the time helping me with every little task? Well, as you see, that's just not practical because he has his plate full outside doing this kind of stuff. Okay, we're going to take a little break here and talk about things inside the house, and then we will come back and I'll show you the trail that my kids made. I owe my mom a huge apology because I remember telling her all the time when I was growing up, why, Mom, why do you love cleaning so much? Why are you always cleaning the house? Why don't you want to do something else? And she would tell me, I don't love cleaning. I would much rather be doing something else, but I love having a clean house. And now that I have my own home and my own children, I totally get it. I don't want to be cleaning all day. I would rather be cooking or spending time outside, but I love having a clean house, so it just has to be done. However, what I really don't love is that almost every cleaning product on the market when you go to the grocery store is loaded with harsh chemicals and hormone disruptors, preservatives, artificial dyes, and scents. And these smells are so strong to me. Honestly, I've been using natural products for so long that it's like nauseating to me when I smell a toxic cleaning product. So that's definitely not something I want to be bringing into my home, because it gets in the air and on your furniture and on your skin, and that really does have an effect on health. It especially messes with the microbiome. I know it can be intimidating thinking, okay, well, how do I get all of these toxic cleaning products out of my house? And then do I make them myself? Do I find non-toxic alternatives? But with Branch Basics, it is the easiest thing ever, because you actually don't need a million different cleaning products. You just need one really good concentrate like Branch Basics has, and you can dilute it at different ratios and use it on every surface of your home. Branch Basics concentrate is free of harsh chemicals, hormone disruptors, preservatives, all the things that we do not want in there. It's also fragrance free, so it's great for pets, for babies that are crawling around on your floor. This one concentrate can do all the things, from cleaning windows to countertops to bathrooms and appliances and even your laundry. So you don't have to go searching for a million different products. This one concentrate will cover all of your bases for having a non-toxic clean home. When you purchase a Branch Basics starter kit, you get spray bottles for bathroom cleaner, glass cleaner, all-purpose cleaner, like a foaming wash cleaner, and laundry detergent as well. So it's not rocket science. All you have to do, it's like right on the bottle on each one, different ratios for each cleaner. You just fill it to the water line with water, then add your concentrate to the soap line, top it off with water, and you're done. And you get so much out of this one bottle of concentrate. So this will last me for a really long time. This one bottle will give me 3 bottles each of bathroom all-purpose and streak-free cleaner, as well as the foaming wash, and then 1 whole bottle of laundry soap. Once you have your starter kit, then all you need to do is just order a refill of the concentrate anytime you need it. Branch Basics also has Oxygen Boost, which is great for anything that you need any kind of grit. And that's from your laundry, as far as, just whitening and brightening your clothes and using it as a stain remover. You can use this on toilets, on, like, anytime I clean my stovetop, there's always stuff caked on there because I let it go way too long. Just anything you need a little bit of grit for, this stuff is great. When you use my code Hopewell Heights, you will get 15% off a Branch Basics starter kit. I will put my link and my code in the description below this video. Just tap the more button and all of the details will be there. Check out Branch Basics. I know you're gonna love them. This is gonna help you detox and simplify your cleaning routine for a cleaner, healthier home. All right, let's go take a look at this trail. So I can't remember if I mentioned it earlier in the video, but I think I did, that the cattle you see here are not ours. This pasture is currently rented. However, in the spring, we are going to be expanding our cattle herd. I'm not sure yet if we're going to go like more dairy cattle, or do more beef cattle, or like a dual purpose, but we're going to be expanding. And we're going to be running our own cattle up here. So this pasture will no longer be rented. It will be our cattle. And I'm excited about that. So that's part of the reason why we're clearing trails and just doing some work up here. So as you see, my oldest here is clearing out roots. They did the clearing for this trail. But, now if we want to drive our ATVs and everything back there, they need to go through and make sure that they clear out all the roots that could potentially pop a tire. That would be bad, and that's hard work. So I am pretty proud of them for doing that. That's now something that we don't have to do. So it really is amazing, how you invest so much in your children in those early years when they're so dependent on you, but then you get such a huge return on that investment because they do learn to really be huge helpers. So now they are just hauling and sorting these big logs. So like we said earlier, some of them we're going to keep and saw down. Those they're just going to set here in this feedlot. And then some of them they're going to set in a separate pile and take those to sell them. So yeah, right now they're just sorting these logs. And while I'm out here, give you a little update on our dairy cows. So I can't remember if I told you guys, but we have a little bottle baby right now. One of the guys that my husband works with had a little bottle calf. It's not a dairy cow. It's more of like a beef. It's a mix of a few different beef breeds, but she's super cute, and one of my jerseys has really taken to her. So you'll get to see her in a minute. Her name is Charlotte, and we will just add her to the herd that we put up in the woods next spring. This one right here, this is Mary. So I have two Jersey cows, Sally and Mary. This is Mary. They were both confirmed pregnant by the vet last spring. However, we're just not sure about Mary. This is the baby, by the way. This is little Charlotte. She's a little beef heifer, meaning that her job will be to have babies for us when she's bigger. So Mary, the one laying down, we're not sure if she's pregnant. She's just not filling out like the other one, like Sally is. And we'll go back out and look at them a little bit more, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. But it was lunchtime. I had to come in and get lunch ready. And I left my tripod outside, which is what I usually do. I usually just set my camera on my tripod, and that's, how I do my videos. But my daughter had my camera, and she asked if she could film me getting lunch ready, so I said yes. And I think she did a pretty good job. So I'm heating up some soup and some tacos. My father-in-law was joining us for lunch, and he does not like spicy food. I also have a couple of kids who don't like anything spicy, and John and I really, really like spicy food, especially like if we're having tacos or something like that, then we really like it spicy. So normally I would not serve two separate meals, but when it comes to stuff like this, if I make something that is spicy or that I know it's just a little bit out there, a little bit different, then I don't expect them to eat that. I will serve something that they like as well. Now we're gonna head outside after lunch here, and I'll kind of show you my mess, absolute mess of a garden. Like I said in my last video, I'm so over it. I'm not doing a fall garden this year. I don't have it in me. After I harvested these last tomatoes, that's it. I'm letting this thing go. And then maybe in like a month, when everything's good and dead, we will come out, pull all of, the stuff from this year out, and just put the garden to sleep. And I won't think about it until maybe February, March. And I'll start getting the itch, I'm sure. But I'm very over it. And a lot of that just has to do with having a very needy baby. If you've had a lot of babies, you'll know that all babies are different. I've had, 3 that were pretty laid back, pretty easygoing. They just didn't really need much from me. They were kind of content to sit in a carrier, sit on my lap, and just go along. And it was really a seamless transition. Having a baby, they just my life didn't change much. The baby just came along for everything. But I've had 2 babies where they want me to be entertaining them and bouncing and walking and doing different things, and they just really need my full attention all the time. And you just have to adjust for that to meet those needs. All right, this is our little bottle baby. You're getting a closer look at her. This is Charlotte. And so we are feeding her out of a bottle twice a day. But as I mentioned, one of my dairy cows, Sally, who you see right here, has actually taken to her, kind of, adopted her, and she lets her nurse. Even though Sally is not really lactating now, she must have something in there. She must have some amount of colostrum, because the baby will latch on and nurse on this mama and have a white foamy mouth afterwards. So she's getting something out of Sally. But the one you just saw, Sally, we know for sure that she's pregnant, and she's due in December. But this one, Mary, see from behind, she just doesn't look as big. So the one on the left, you can see really big belly. The one here on the right, not so much. So we're thinking she might have miscarried. We just need to have the vet out, because I really don't want to wait. If she did miscarry, we want to breed her back again right away. So, gonna add that to my list of things to do, like today. Call the vet, have the vet come out and check, because I don't know how to do that. I know some people are just really good at looking at a cow and guessing how far along they are. I'm not. That right there behind me is a wall for my basement cold room, for my food storage room. I'm so excited. You guys know this is something that I've wanted for a long time. John started it last fall, but you know, things came up on the farm, fence needed fixing, yada, yada, yada. It just didn't get done, and now it's getting done, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's really hard to plan a big garden with food storage in mind when you don't have a dedicated food storage place. So this really is going to be a game changer. You know, I have like a long-term food stash, enough for hopefully for a year for our family, you know, if crazy things would happen or whatever. And it's all in buckets, just like sitting on the floor. But I really want to get everything organized. We need to put shelves in there for all of my canned goods. And, you know, the idea is this will be somewhat of a cold room. It's not going to be super cold, but cold enough to where I can store root vegetables, like, you know, pumpkins, squash, cabbages, all sorts of things until I can get them preserved. Or, you know, hopefully the root vegetables I can store through the winter. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see, but this room, which we'll go in just a second, 3 sides is concrete, and then all John had to do was just frame up one wall. Now we do have to insulate this wall and kind of seal. Let me show you. Seal up top. So because our basement is temperature controlled, we don't want that room to be temperature controlled. We want it to stay cool, which will be supported by the exterior concrete walls. So we want to insulate it from the rest of the house. And then I don't know if we'll do anything beyond that to cool it down. We're just going to kind of see what happens. And then we will take it from there. I'm going to put my freeze dryer in here too. I did actually get tired of having it up in the kitchen. Not even necessarily because of the noise, but mostly because it just takes up a lot of space. So I'm glad that I will have it down here. The next step, I don't know what he's going to do next actually, if he's going to build shelving in here or if he's going to insulate it. Here is the room. Maybe it's like 10 by 12 or something, if I had to guess. I don't know, maybe I'm off. And in these buckets on the floor, this is my long-term food storage stash. And then there's just a bunch of junk in here. Jars, lids, stuff. So, you know, we're gonna build shelves that will go all the way to the ceiling. So this will be not so sore on the eyes. A lot more space in here. Now that little contraption table there is just where my freeze dryer is gonna go. Nothing fancy because we don't need anything fancy. This room is not for aesthetics. It's for food storage. So there you have it. I'll keep you guys posted as we go. This right here was my very last Juliet tomato harvest from the garden, and I'm just gonna make that one pot garden tomato sauce that I actually made with you guys last week. And I still didn't get good pictures for the blog, so it won't be on the blog, but we'll do it again. If you weren't here last week, we made like the best, easiest garden tomato sauce all in one pot, one step. Now the exception is that today I am actually going to make the pasta from scratch. I had told you all last week like that when I make spaghetti this way, I start with whole tomatoes, whole onion, whole garlic cloves, herbs and spices, simmer it down, blend it up with an immersion blender as you'll see. Then I add in my meat and I add in either frozen or dried pasta. And I had said I'm not sure how well this would work with freshly made pasta. Just adding freshly made pasta into a sauce and cooking it that way, like as a one pot pasta. I wasn't sure how that would go. So I went ahead and tried it out, as you will see, and it was kind of mushy. I wouldn't do it again. Would not recommend. So this is not one of those videos where I like perfectly mastered something. It's one where I had an idea to do something and it didn't work out like I thought it would. So for future reference, if you're going to make it like a one pot pasta, then I would use dried pasta or frozen pasta. I would not use fresh pasta. So when you're working with fresh pasta, it seems to me, in my experience, I've been doing this, making fresh pasta for a couple of years. It seems to me that it's best to actually just either dry it or boil it in water and then add it to whatever sauce that you have. So live and learn. Now I know. However, this was also a good trial. It was my first time making fresh pasta with freshly milled grain. Now, I didn't have durum wheat to make semolina flour. I just used hard red wheat, and it turned out fine. It's definitely not the same. I also didn't have eggs. You'll see here in a minute. I'll kind of tell you about how this process went. I had to improvise because I had hard red wheat, which isn't traditionally used for pasta. And then I didn't have any fresh eggs available. I only had mayonnaise. So I put mayonnaise in the pasta instead of eggs. And the texture was just a little bit off. So like I said, I would call this not necessarily a fail. I mean, we ended up eating the spaghetti. It just didn't go like I wanted it to go. So here we go. We're milling the hard red wheat for the pasta. I've been playing around with freshly milled grain for 4 months now, and I still am not bringing you guys like a ton of recipes because I'm still learning. I'm not that type of person who learns about something and then like the next day I'm an expert. I kind of like to take my time before I try to teach somebody anything about something. I want to make sure that I've really gotten a lot of hands-on time. All right, we're gonna make some sourdough pasta. I am, I don't have any eggs in the house right now, so I'm gonna use mayonnaise. I make my mayonnaise from eggs and olive oil or avocado oil, and that's what I put in my pasta too. It's eggs and just olive oil or avocado oil. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna start with some sourdough starters. I'm gonna do sourdough pasta. This is a little more than a cup of starter, so this is probably a cup and a half of starter. And I'll do about 4 cups of wheat. I don't have any durum wheat. I only have like soft white, hard red, and then ancient grain. If I had durum, I would use durum because that's durum wheat. When you mill it, it makes semolina flour, and that's just traditionally what's best for pasta. So I have that on my next Azure standard order, durum wheat. But for today, I'm just going to use the hard red wheat that I have, and we'll just see how it turns out. So put my starter in here. I'm gonna add my flour that I just milled. It's in here. Add the mayonnaise, maybe some salt, mix it up and see if I can get a good pasta dough going. I do not have a sourdough pasta recipe on my blog, but I do have a fresh pasta recipe, and it's so simple. It's just flour, eggs, a little bit of olive oil or avocado oil, and salt. That's all it is to make your own pasta. You don't need a stand mixer. Actually, traditionally, pasta is just made by like dumping your flour in a big pile on your counter and adding the other ingredients in a well and mixing it by hand that way. So check out Pasta Grannies if you don't know what I'm talking about. Pasta Grannies here on YouTube. It's like the best channel ever. I want to be a pasta granny someday, but I'm cheating today and I'm using my stand mixer because it's awesome and it saves me time and work. Like I said, with this current baby that I have that needs all the things, I'm always looking for ways to save time and work. In fact, like, a lot of times people are wondering, like, where are all your kids? Well, the baby is almost always at my feet. You just can't see him. So I think you'll see him here in a minute. But he's just playing at my feet, trying to, like, crawl up my legs or getting into something. He's crawling everywhere, opening cabinets, doing all the typical kind of like in between baby and toddler things. All right, so this pasta maker, if you've been with me for a while, you've seen this. I've had this for a long time. It's an Atlas manual pasta maker. I know you can get electric ones or like attachments that would go on a KitchenAid mixer, and I've heard from people that really like those, but I like this manual one. It's really, really easy to use, and if there's an apocalypse, I told my husband, like, at least we'll have fresh pasta. So he really looks concerned and rolls his eyes when I say funny things like that. Okay, so here is the final product of my sourdough, freshly milled pasta made with mayonnaise. So a lot of improvising today, but it worked out. And I actually did end up drying a lot of this pasta. I made a huge batch. I used some of it in the spaghetti, and like I said, it kind of turned to mush, so that was a little bit of a fail. We still ate it, but the rest of it I hung to dry. It did dry pretty well, but I won't do that again. I won't do the mayonnaise thing again because it was just it was more brittle than usual. I didn't care for the consistency, so, it worked in a pinch. All right, so we're blending up the 1-pot tomato sauce here. So easy, just whole tomatoes, diced onion, diced garlic, herbs and spices, salt and pepper. That's all this is. Blend it up in an immersion blender, let it simmer, and because it still has all of the water, like juice content from the tomatoes, you didn't strain the juice out, that's what makes it so great for a one-pot spaghetti, because that extra water content, that like tomato juice, is what cooks the pasta. But as I've said a million times now, since you've been watching, would not recommend doing this with fresh pasta. That's all I have for you guys this week. I will link my pasta recipe and some notes on making this tomato sauce, because you don't have to have like a garden to make this. You can just buy tomatoes from the store and do this method. So I'll put some notes in the description below the video. Just tap the more button. Also be sure to check out the offer that Branch Basics has for Hopeful Heights subscribers. When you buy a starter kit from Branch Basics using my link, you will get 15% off. Now, I need to wrap this up, but I have a really fun video coming out like within the next few weeks. I don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but we have something new that I'm excited to show you guys. It's something that I've wanted for a really, 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 really long time, like something I've dreamed about since I was a little girl. So if you have guesses, then leave your guesses in the comments section. And maybe if enough of you guessed it, then I'll just go ahead and spill the beans. If not, then in a couple weeks, you'll get to see my big surprise. All right, well, that's all for this week. We'll see you all next week.